Good morning, this is Jack from Charlton Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 23rd of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, okay, yes. Well, the bearish day yesterday delivered. We've now got two bullish leading days today and tomorrow, and this is when I'm thinking we're going to deliver the high retest, which we haven't quite seen on SPX and Qs so far, although we have seen it on YM stroke Dire. Okay, NQ almost made it to the retest of the high. SPX was a little short on ES, of course. RTY this kind of looks like a bullish consolidation and possibly a triangle forming, setting up a retest of this high. Not necessarily sure that's the case, but we will see. YM has already retested the high, of course, and we've got a very nice looking potential level top. DAX, this could be a flag, but it's kind of deep for a flag. So I'm wondering whether we might see it retest the high here. We don't necessarily need to. ESTX has already retested the high. We got a pretty nice looking sizable double top here, and that's already looking pretty good. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. And first, let's start with the current view on how long this government shutdown will last. Now, the encouraging thing is that over the last 5 days, this has actually gone down about 5 days, but at the moment they're projecting that that it's likely to finish on about 10th of November. Got to say, from a historical point of view, I think the longest shutdown that we have seen is 35 days. Since government shutdowns started in their modern form in about 1981. So 40.9 is already fairly radical. The last one was basically the last shutdown, which was under Trump. And that was the 35-day one. Actually, the stock market didn't do too badly in that one, which was unusual because usually these stock market negative. But that's what it's forecasting at the moment. We'll see how it goes. There was a bit of a tick down here when it looked as though negotiations might be starting. Not really seeing any sign of those actually happening, though. So we'll see. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at the daily charts, we saw a back test of the daily middle band yesterday on SPX. On Qs, we also saw a back test of the daily middle band. On Dire, we saw a back test of the daily middle band. So at the moment, we've seen a back test of the daily middle band, and that is kind of the obvious place to see some support. And so far, we are seeing it. In terms of the pattern setup here, haven't quite retested this high. So if we came down directly into a lower low from here, this would kind of look like a bull flag forming. We could, having said that, I've seen double tops like this play out, but they're much easier to identify as a double top when you see the full retest, and I'm still expecting to see that. We came on the last short-term high, we came within 12 handles. Q got very close and got up to about within a few cents, I think. So we've got a short distance further to go. We will see how that goes. We've still got the daily sell signals, of course. In terms of the pattern setup here, again, we got up to 612.80, very, very close. That's only actually 38 cents away. But ideally, we would see a retest of the high, and I'm leaning towards seeing that today or tomorrow because we've got bullish leaning tape both days. Looking at Dire, we've already retested the high. We've got a beautiful potential double top there. It looks nice. More or less all of the 15-minute sell signals and 60-minute sell signals, they all made target yesterday. The only one remaining, although it's not really remaining, this is a buy signal from the low, which is an RSI 14 buy signal on 15 minutes on the Qs. Otherwise, we were pretty thin on buy signals. In terms of IWM, on the daily chart, we got back below the daily middle band and actually closed below it. That leans a bit bearish, and if you look at this rising support trend line I drew in here, we actually broke it yesterday, and it's a nice trend line. That is a sign of weakness, so it makes it a little less likely it's going to retest the high, although that's still possible. And this doesn't look like a triangle forming in RTH. This looks potentially like a flag, although we may just be breaking down. But that was a close below the daily middle band yesterday, and we broke the support trend line. That is bearish. In terms of the 15 minutes, we didn't have any RSI 14 buy signal. The RSI 5 one already made target as it did on the Qs. Looking at DAX, saw a back test of the daily middleman yesterday, holding so far. And Nikkei, we've got possible resistance in the 50k area here. I would say that we've now got a possible RSI 14 daily sell signal brewing. And actually, the two previous ones on this chart, nope, the three previous ones on this chart, one of those failed almost immediately. The other two, which are a closer resemblance to this one in terms of the way they formed. The other two made target. So we'll be watching that. This was at a significant short-term high. This was at basically the start of a flag forming. So there is a warning sign here that we might be looking at some retracement, but of course the signal hasn't fixed yet. All right, let's have a look at DX. Now DX, I'm still leaning higher here. We're getting pretty close to the both the IHS target and to possible flag resistance here. I'm expecting to see a retest this high here, and I'm leaning towards it going higher from there. We've got a nice looking head and shoulders here, which has broken down and not failed on this rally, and I'm liking the downside there. That would be a big support for the dollar heading up. I would say short term we've got a 60-minute buy signal fix. GBP USD, nice breakdown, but we've still got a little double bottom which hasn't failed because double bottoms don't really fail. USD JPY broke up from what looks like a bull flag megaphone and is actually getting pretty close to a retest to the high. USD CAD a bit more muted, but we've got a possible flag set up here. Possible bear flag forming on Australian dollar, and looks like a bear flag forming on NZ2. All of this is dollar positive. So I'm leaning towards seeing higher. On bonds, we got a potential nested double top here, and the first double top is coming down nicely. We had a weak sell signal here that made target overnight. So keeping an eye on this, we do have an inflection point here where bonds could potentially break up. On ZN, we've retested this high area. We've got a potential level top here, also watching that. We've got a 60-minute sell signal, which has so far failed to deliver anything for a few days. That could change, of course. Looking at CL. CL, I was talking about this rally at the lows and these falling wedges, and well, we've seen a very nice rally here. That looks nice. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing here. We may well be looking at a pullback. Could this be an inverted head and shoulders here? Yes, it could. So I'm wondering about a possible IHS forming here. If you were to see a straight line across, which of course doesn't actually need to be, but if you were to see a straight line across, it would be, a moment. All right, let me just put that in the right color. And this isn't the only one of these forming. If this is an IHS, then ideally we'd see a pullback into about the 60 area. And then potentially see a move up that could take us back up into the 68 area. We will see. That's actually a little more than I was expecting, really, on a rally, but could be. As I said, it is possible, of course. The low's already been made. There is an argument for CL going a little lower. We didn't quite make it to the obvious target. HO. Very nice rally here. No possible inverted head and shoulders forming. Again, we've got a 60-minute sell signal, possible 60-minute sell signal brewing, and that is actually trying to fix at the moment. RBOB, another one. Have we reached possible IHS neckline here? Yes, we have. All right. So I'm wondering about a possible IHS right shoulder forming here. We will see how that goes. The only one really where I've got a clear target to the downside that hasn't been made yet is CL. And it almost made it. That could be close enough, but normally I'd really be looking for another retest to those. So I'm thinking this may fall into that low retest and set up short-term double bottoms. But there is a case for a possible IHS forming here too. All right, NG, hell of a run up here too. This looks like a head and shoulders forming. This would be the neckline. in which case it's already broken down. So we got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. I'm thinking sharp retracement. This looks as though it might just be a 50 pack, but watching that with great interest. We have got an IHS target on the bigger picture chart, which is up in about the 3.7 area. So we will see whether it gets there. Looking at GC, double top, broke down, hasn't quite made it to the target, may well still make it to the target. SI, possible head and shoulders forming, ideal right shoulder high would be in the 50 area. Palladium, possible head and shoulders forming, ideal right shoulder high would be in the weekly pivot area, 1556. Platinum, not a possible head and shoulders forming. So waiting to see. No obvious pattern here. HG, I've been leaning towards seeing a retest of this high. I think we may be breaking up towards that retest after what looks an awful lot like a triangle. So if we see that high retest, that could well be the second high of a double top. All right, looking at KC, leaning towards this going a little higher. Looks as though it's doing that so far. We got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. It almost failed here. It could fail. But we've got a nice looking little megaphone. This could hold. We will see. SB. SB, we saw a lower low, nice little short-term double bottom, and I've upgraded this to a full 60-minute buy signal because the original one was weak, but this is a full buy signal here. So I've upgraded that and leaning towards that making target, and this being a nested double bottom. CC, we've obviously reached declining resistance here while expanding this bear flag. This still looks like a bear flag. So it might break up through this trend line here, but the bear flag is still, as long as it lasts, is still setting up for a retest of the low here. Possibly to set up a second low of a small double bottom. CT, this looks like a bull flag forming after we broke up from this IHS. IHS not close to failing, so I'm still leaning towards that making target in the 65.7 area. On lumber, we're testing the monthly pivot as support. If this is a flag that's broken down, we should see a retest of this September low. ZW, there's a little IHS which has broken up here, and it hasn't failed, but at the moment this is looking an awful lot more like a bear flag forming. So I'm thinking we're probably setting up for a retest of this low. In terms of corn, at resistance, possible little level top there, no current negative divergence. If this was a flag, then I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of this high. Soy, potential little level top here too. Week 6-minute sell signal fixed. ZL still looks like a flag, and we just made a perfect touch of the flag support trend line. That backs up this being a flag. And it also gives us a resistance trend line, albeit not a 3-touch one, because that's very much a confirmed support trend line. So just going to draw that in. So this looks even more like a bear flag than it previously did. This looks like a possible bull flag forming on live cattle. Live cattle, which has now made the 60-minute sell signal target. And lean hogs, week 60-minute buy signal fixed, not delivering a lot so far. We have got this wedge breaking up. I'm looking for a reversal pattern and then a likely rally. All right, great. Well, my pleasure as always. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow morning.